I'm Dasi, and today I wanted to talk about the concept that how important is the vibe for the words that you will be picking in a certain situation. I will start from the example, just like for example, let's say you're in an argument. That's how I came to this kind of idea. I don't know, to make a video, let's say you're in an argument, and the thing is like when you are not in the vibe of arguing and you're just like made up this vibe or representation or this kind of scenario in your head without actually kind of something triggering that emotion for you to actually stand up and be like, okay, you actually want to argue, let's argue. But you were sitting there and you were like and you were like flying in that ego part of you where you were like, okay, I don't fuck with this person, how I can make fun of him, oh, I can argue with him and stuff like that, and you're making up this arguing scenario and the stuff that and the things that when you're doing this arguing scenario or the debating scenario, you are not getting the full power of the vibe for your words to appear in. It's kind of, I mean, like, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Is that, for example, that if you are making up a scenario, you're focusing not on the argument itself, but you're focusing on how you are going to make fun of that person, let's say, for example. And in this case, some parts which would be beneficial or crucial, I'm mixing up this word, crucial in negotiation, you're missing them out because you're kind of your mindset is more focused on some other parts, and some parts you will just subconsciously even ignore and not represent just due to the fact that your mindset is in some other space. So for example, let's say you're trying to make a fun of a guy and that's why you're trying to debate with him and argue with him, and it's like you don't open the full potential of the argument itself. You're just trying to find words, take out these words which will benefit you. In this case, will show you off as a smarter and more knowledgeable guy than the other dude who you're trying to argue with and make fun of. So you will just find some words where some ego parts will come out. You will find some words or representations that will kind of glorify yourself, glorify your ideology, glorify your ideas, knowledge, glorify your experiences and stuff like that. And for example, some parts you'll be afraid to show off because you will know that it will make people not see something as you want them to see. So yeah, something like that. But the whole idea of you when you're in, let's say, in the second kind of scenario where you are arguing not because you're trying to show off, but you're arguing just for the case of debating just for the case because something triggered you and you're like, you have this emotion like, oh, to justify something, you're an emotion that it's not balanced, that like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I mean, and for me it happens a lot, where it's like not balanced. I'm like, what the fuck, why he's even saying this shit, because it's not like that. Okay, if he wants to show off with his bullshit, let me add something and tell him that it's not always like that and it can also be like that with his own words, type shit like that. So for example, let's say you're arguing or you're arguing or debating with somebody who actually triggered the point inside of you. So now you're in actual potential, you're to some degree open up your argument potential, your arguing potential, your debating potential, because here you're not focusing on some other stuff, but you're actually focusing on the pure argument itself, and you're trying to justify, like, let's say maybe your actions or your ideas or your ideology. For example, even let's say I have it a lot with zodiacs. Not that I'm going out and debating with everybody, but I have a lot of people in my surroundings who are to some degree not into zodiacs. I'm not blaming them for that, but when I'm not like going out and just saying believe in zodiacs because I'm good at zodiacs, and you don't want to believe in zodiacs because blah 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 blah, and I'm going from my ego side, but I'm actually debating with them when I see that you don't have to put all this weight on this situation, especially on me, because I know what the fuck I'm doing type shit. And that's what is kind of triggering the argument itself in this case, let's say. So let's say if I'm using myself as an example, I'm triggered in the situation where somebody puts a lot of weight on me, and I'm like, sometimes I'm ignoring him, but sometimes when something actually triggered, I'm like, okay, you wanna actually to see what I'm trying, why I'm doing this for, then I will show you. And I'm not showing the ego part where like, oh, I'm good at zodiacs and you don't know the zodiacs because you're blah blah blah, this is that and sort and shit like that. So I hope I didn't lost and I didn't confuse y'all, but yeah. So for example, yeah, in this scenario where I'm trying to debate for zodiacs, I'm like going with the ideas, for example. So I'm opening this potential, right, of actually focusing on the argument and not on the other things. So here I can find representations of different stuff. Let's say I can talk with the person and say like, okay, so you are. So you have a clock which says which time it is. You have a calendar which says which season it is, and I'm telling you, okay, zodiac is the same stuff. It's you're tracking the sun. You're tracking the sun and its position in different things. And for example, different stuff like, let's say, that's why you have north, which is cold because the sun is not as hot or as near as it is in the south. East, west, blah blah, this and so. Then you have different kind of fruits in different areas. Then you have even like you see, I'm going with that and I'm using the person's own words to fight him back. So for example, he will say something like, yeah, but all people are the same. And I'm like, yeah, all people are the same, but everybody has his own vitamins that he lacks, or he has a lot of them. He has his pigment of skin, which is darker or lighter depending on where you come from. Your genes too, but I mean, your genes started from somewhere, right? Yeah. Then you have different fruits in different areas. So that's why to some degree you will not see it. Of course, all people are the same. Yeah, true. I mean, like, all people are the same because, first of all, they are living in one government world to some degree. Second of all, they're also all of them living through the same transition. So this whole city I live in, this whole country I live in, even the whole continent that I live in goes through summer now. So we all kind of experience the same, kind of, I mean, like, not the same scenarios, but the same kind of energy on a different kind of scales, type shit like that. But each of them has his own world inside of him. That also goes for each person has his own vitamins that he has or lack, each interest, stuff, how he goes about. It also goes towards culture, and that's how I can explain the debating part. I mean, that's how I can debate with that person. And due to the fact that I went to the debating not from like the ego part or me wanting to be above this person who I'm arguing with, or just to argue for the sake of arguing, to trigger that person, or to argue for the case of me being glorified and showing off my status. But I'm actually debating and negotiating due to the fact that something triggered me, and that kind of emotion that's somewhere inside of me, which was closed or in a cave or in a treasure in a box, it actually opened, and now I can use it as a, let's say, chakra, or as a flow to make, as a water, let's say, as a water, which can build, which from which I can make objects. So you have people who came out from water, you have fruits that came out from water, you have different things in our bodies that come from water, and same as here. So you have a internal water which was closed off, but something triggered it, so now it's open, and now I can use this water to make different kind of swords from it and just fight the person who I'm arguing with. Yeah, so that's actually the case. I hope that I didn't make it, because sometimes it's actually hard for me to show it off, not because I'm making something up, and I'm not trying to, I cannot find words, but actually the case that, let's say, this idea that I had right now, you see, I'm still wet. I was in the shower and I was still showering, and that's why, like, the emotion that triggered those ideas that I had in the shower, it kind of closed right now. So I'm going off with the words that I actually created when I was in the shower. So now I'm not even in the point where I can show it to you. I can make new stuff, like at the moment, at the flow, as I have a video before just saying you have to go with the flow. I'm not going with the flow right now, but I'm actually using the stuff that I used before, due to the fact because back then I was in that moment, and then when I went out, I already like had a new emotions, new stuff that triggered me, and new emotions, new boxes which were open, new words, blah blah, and this and that. So actually, what I created in the shower, now I'm using it right now. And for example, if you'll go back to the if you'll go back to the minute 10 seconds or 11 seconds, you'll actually see me opening up one of those treasures, a new kind of treasure, or a new kind of box, or a new kind of flow which came out from the cave, and most of that came out from the cave. Doesn't matter, it's like a lot of allegories can be made on that. And I was actually going with the flow, trying to explain you something that actually triggered me now. So it's like, it was like the freshest kind of words that were going out, and the freshest words that were just actually created right now, right now, right now. So that's like also one of the representations. So yeah, and that's it. Have fun.